The last hunt. The winds of Xir'khal howled through the scorched jungle canopy, carrying the stench of ash, blood, and decay. Where once vibrant alien flora reached to the violet skies, only blackened stumps and cracked earth remained. The bombardment had done its work. Nothing large stirred anymore. Nothing alive. Nothing, except him. Doctr, last of the Xir'khal predators, crawled through the ruins of what had once been his hunting grounds. His talons left deep gouges in the soot-drenched soil as he dragged his shattered body forward, each breath a shuddering growl. Shrapnel the size of knives jutted from his abdomen. His left wing was torn, bones jutting out like broken spires. Blood, thick, dark, and steaming, trailed behind him in a grim tribute to the war that had ended hours before. He did not rage. He did not mourn. This was how it was always meant to end. Doctr had fought in 100 campaigns across the stars. His name had been spoken in fear across 14 systems. Entire colonies had fallen to his kind, those once mighty apex predators bred in the gravity crucibles of dead moons. They were death incarnate, until they were hunted down. The Galactic Federation called them too dangerous to be allowed to exist. So it sent fleets, bombs, and machines with no blood to spill. And they exterminated his people. Efficiently. Completely. Now, only he remained. Old, broken, and soon to be dead. He collapsed at the mouth of a rocky cave, his final den. The once rhythmic thrum of his 3 hearts had grown erratic. His secondary lung had collapsed, filling his chest cavity with wet gurgling. His vision blurred. He curled in on himself, a mountain of muscle and scale, and exhaled slowly. So this is it. No honor duel. No final kill. Just bleeding out on a forgotten moon. He chuckled, an eerie, guttural sound that echoed off the stone. Then he heard footsteps. Not the mechanical clank of drones. Not the slither of jungle beasts. These were light, deliberate, bipedal. His slitted eye cracked open. A shape emerged through the scorched underbrush. A human. Small, unarmored, dressed in white and red, with strange packs slung across her back and waist. The red cross on her shoulder marked her as a healer, a medic. No, not a soldier. Not prey either. Something else. Doctr instinctively bared his fangs. His growl rumbled low, vibrating through the stone floor like distant thunder. The woman froze, but didn't run. She looked at him, really looked, not with panic or disgust, but with sharp, calculating eyes. Her breathing quickened, but she didn't scream. Instead, she stepped forward. "Jesus," she whispered. You're still alive." He blinked slowly. Her words were gibberish. Her tone was not. She knelt just out of reach, pulling off her pack. She rummaged through it, extracting tools, syringes, gauze, canisters of foam. What was she doing? He snarled again, low and menacing, enough to make most creatures flee. But she held her ground. "I don't want to hurt you," she said calmly, placing her hand over her chest. "I'm a doctor. My name is Liana. I can help you, but I need you to stay still." He tilted his head. Doctor, a title. He had heard it before in intercepted comms. Healers. Soft things. Foolish. Weak. Yet here she was, standing in a cave with a dying apex predator. Unarmed, speaking not with fear, but empathy. A drop of blood splashed beside her boot. She didn't flinch. "I don't know if you can understand me," she murmured, reaching slowly for his wound. "But you're not going to die today. Not if I can stop it." Her hand, so small compared to the plates of his armor-like scales, touched the edge of a deep gash across his chest. Her touch was warm. Not cold like the machines that had burned his kind. Not sterile like the surgical drones that dissected the fallen. This was human. Doctr stared at her for a long moment, then let his head sink back to the stone. His eyes closed. He could crush her in an instant. Even broken as he was, his jaws could snap her in half. But he didn't. He didn't want to. For the first time in centuries, he felt something other than rage or survival instinct. Curiosity. As Liana worked, dabbing at the wound with trembling but determined fingers, Doctr let out a long, shuddering breath. Not a growl. Not a threat. Almost a sigh. He had accepted death, welcomed it, but now death had been delayed, and the one staying its hand was human. The Doctor and the beast. Liana's gloves were already soaked in blood. Not human blood, thicker, darker, almost metallic, and far too hot. It steamed in the chill of the cave. Every few minutes, she had to pause and wipe her visor clean to see properly. Unbelievable, she muttered, trying to pack the massive wound with coagulant foam. This thing's organs don't even line up with anything in the standard xenobiology charts. Who build a ribcage inside a muscle sheath? The creature, Xir'khal, she guessed it was male, didn't answer, of course. He hadn't made a sound in over 10 minutes. Not a growl, not a breath. She'd almost believed he'd died on her. Then, his massive eye blinked once. Still alive, still watching her. Liana swallowed hard and forced her hands to stop trembling. It was one thing to talk tough in the face of a mountain-sized alien predator. It was another to kneel beside its ribcage and slice into its hide with field scalpels. She had expected many things on this mission. Burn victims, radiation sickness, trauma. Not this. Not him. A living Xir'khal. Every database in the Federation called them extinct. And here she was, treating one. She worked with precision, layering medical foam across gashes big enough to swallow a person. Her training screamed at her. Don't waste supplies on hostile bioforms. But she ignored it. Because this didn't feel like treating an enemy. It felt like treating a dying soldier. He had let her work. That counted for something. You've probably killed dozens of people, she said aloud, voice steady despite herself. Maybe hundreds. But you're not fighting now. You're hurt. And hurting things, they deserve a choice. To fight. Or to live. Her words echoed across the stone chamber. He blinked again, slowly, as if absorbing the cadence of her speech. Liana paused to dig through her bag. She found an old 4 canister and a makeshift pump, adapted from scrap gear. She moved toward one of his forelimbs, hunting for something, a vein, a pulse, anything familiar. I don't know if this will even work, she said, more to herself than to him. But your body's shutting down. You've lost too much blood. I need to stabilize you, or this will all be a waste of time. When she touched the forelimb, something strange happened. The creature shifted, not to threaten, not to pull away, but to help. The limb flexed slightly, exposing a softer membrane near the joint. A vein? Maybe. She stayed at it, then at him. You understand me, she breathed. The eye blinked again, slower this time. A yes, perhaps. She connected the 4 and began the flow of synthetic plasma. It wasn't a perfect match, but the universal stabilizer proteins might buy him time. As the fluid began to flow, his tail gave a twitch. Then he made a sound, not a growl, not a roar. A low, resonant hum. Liana stared at him. That's a pain response, she guessed. Or thanks. Xir'khal looked at her for a long moment. Then, with a sound like grinding stone, he spoke. Not in words she understood, but in something close, a guttural approximation of galactic common. The voice was rough, fractured, ancient. Why, you help. Liana's heart stopped for a second. You can talk, she whispered. He wheezed. Little. Words. Slow. She knelt closer. I'm Liana. Doctor. I heal people. You're hurt. So I help. He looked at her with something unreadable in his golden eyes. Enemy, he rumbled. No, not anymore, she said. The war's over. You're the only one left. He closed his eyes at that, as if her words confirmed something he already knew, as if hearing it aloud finally broke something inside him. I die. No fight. No sky. She shook her head. You're not dying today. Not if I can stop it. He didn't reply, but he didn't object either. For the next hour, Liana worked in silence, only the occasional grunt from the alien breaking the stillness. She patched what she could, packed wounds, sprayed sealant across ruptured scale segments. Her suit's temperature alert flashed red. She was overheating, dehydrated. Her muscles trembled, but she kept going. Oh, a damn tank, she murmured. I should have brought a forklift, not a medkit. The dragon predator let out a low, dry rumble. almost like a laugh. You, small, brave. She blinked. Is that a compliment? Fool, or fire? She allowed herself a tired smile. Guess we'll find out. As night fell across the jungle moon, the wind began to die down. The scent of smoke faded, replaced by something else, the scent of survival, of endurance. Liana slumped beside him, her back against his massive foreleg. His breathing had steadied. The bleeding had slowed. He wasn't out of danger, but he wasn't dead, either. Not yet. You need a name, she murmured, eyelids drooping. He opened one eye. Vak has the. She tried to repeat it. Failed. That's a mouthful. You call Vak. She smiled. All right. Vak it is. As exhaustion claimed her, the human doctor and the alien dragon sat in the silence, two enemies forged by war, now survivors sharing a cave, and something neither had expected. Trust. The healing wall. Sunlight filtered through cracks in the cave ceiling, casting soft gold across the stone. Morning on Calvereth brought no bird song, no chorus of life, just the distant, haunted whine of scorched wind and the creaking groans of a dying world. But inside the cave, something had changed. Vak's eyes opened slowly. Pain still throbbed beneath every scale, but the searing edge had dulled. The bleeding had stopped. His breaths were deep, slow, controlled. He was alive, and it was her doing. The human, Liana, sat cross-legged at the edge of his field of vision, a makeshift cook stove flickering beside her. The scent of heat-rationed stew drifted through the air, tinged with strange earth spices. Morning, she said without looking up. He grunted, a low, gravelly sound that made her glance over. Still alive. That's a good sign. Vak flexed one talon. Still pain. She shrugged. You were impaled by debris, had internal hemorrhaging in at least 2 organ systems, and you've got bone fragments pressing on your lung sacs. Honestly, you should be dead. He blinked slowly. Should be. But you're not, she added, setting the stew aside and standing. Because you're too damn stubborn. She walked over to his side, pressing her palm gently against his flank. I've patched what I can. Without real surgical tools, I can't remove the fragments. But I stabilized your vitals. Why? He asked again, voice quieter this time. She hesitated. I could give you some big speech. About ethics. About compassion. About post-war neutrality agreements. But that's not it. He waited. I helped you, she said, because someone had to. Because if we don't start seeing each other as more than enemies, this cycle never ends. Vak let that settle in the air for a moment. My kind, no mercy, no healing. Weak, left behind. She nodded. Humans were like that once. Tribal, violent. We nearly wiped ourselves out, again and again. But we learned to value life, even our enemies. He looked at her with those luminous eyes. Strange. Full predator. She smiled faintly. Says the giant carnivore in the room. Vak rumbled with amusement. It startled both of them. It sounded almost like a laugh. They spent the next hours working together. Vak, though still too injured to stand, directed Liana to a cluster of thorny plants outside the cave. Their blue sap, when crushed and boiled, acted as a natural antiseptic. Used by hatchers, he said. Old times. Before machines. Liana collected the sap carefully, watching as the jungle slowly came to life around her. No creatures. Just wind. And ash. She realized this entire region was probably sterilized by orbital bombardment. And yet, Vak had survived. A monument to endurance. Back in the cave, she applied the sap to the wounds. Vak winced at the sting but said nothing. You're tougher than a shock trooper, she muttered. You know that. I am lost, he said. She stopped. Lost what? Lost breath of my people. Lost memory. Lost voice. She swallowed the lump in her throat. Then maybe, that voice shouldn't fade in a cave no one will ever find. Vak turned his massive head toward her. You would carry it. I'd record it. Share it. Preserve it. Someone should know who you were. What you were. He paused. Then, Xir'khal were not monsters. We hunted, yes. We conquered, but we protected too. We remembered our dead. We honored strength, not cruelty. She listened, transfixed, as he spoke slowly. Each word was deliberate, as if dredged from centuries of memory. Federation bombed our temples, killed younglings, not war, erasure. Liana's fists clenched. I didn't know. Now, you do. That night, Liana set up a comm beacon atop the ridge behind the cave. The solar battery was nearly drained, but she managed to angle the dish just right to piggyback on an orbiting supply satellite. She sent a coded distress ping. Simple, unarmed, medical flag priority. Then she sat beside Vok again. They'll come, she said. Maybe tomorrow, maybe a week, but someone will find us. He looked away. They will kill me. Not if I explain. They fear me. She looked him in the eye. Let them fear, but they'll see a patient, not a threat. Vok didn't answer. After a moment, he asked, if I live, where do I go? Liana hesitated. We'll figure it out. I have no world, no kin, no war. What is left? She smiled gently. Life. As silence settled in, Liana leaned back against his foreleg again, her voice soft. You know what humans say about dragons. He turned an eye toward her. They're ancient, wise, powerful, and lonely. He grunted. True. But in stories, dragons always find someone. A rider, a friend, someone who sees them. Vok was quiet for a long moment. Then, you see me. She nodded. I do. When the stars came, the days passed slowly on Calvereth. Vok grew stronger with each sunrise. Not whole. He would never be whole again. But stable. Alive. He could move his limbs. He could lift his head. He could speak without coughing blood. And each day, he spoke more. Liana recorded everything. His history, his species' customs, his memories of battles and sky cities long turned to dust. Her data pad overflowed with stories no other human had ever heard. They ate together, though not the same food. She with her protein rations and rehydrated soups. He with charred bones of scavenger beasts and the rich sap of regrowth flora. Somehow, they found a rhythm. Each night, they sat near the mouth of the cave. He would stretch his long neck toward the stars. Do you still dream of war? She asked him once. Vok was quiet for a long time. No, he finally rumbled. I dream of flight. She smiled. Then maybe there's hope for all of us. On the sixth day, the sky changed. It started as a shimmer on the horizon. Faint, controlled, not a storm, too precise, too artificial. Liana stood, squinting at the sky. That's a shuttle. Vok remained still, watching. Minutes passed. The shimmer became a glint. Then the whine of high-altitude thrusters reached their ears. Medical evac? Maybe, she muttered, responding to the signal I sent. Vok turned his massive head toward her. What will you say? That I found a wounded life form. That I treated it. That it cooperated. That it has rights under Federation law. They will fay. Let them. You are small, he said softly. But I'm not alone. Not anymore. The shuttle descended just beyond the ridge. Sleek and angular, with the white and blue markings of a Federation relief vessel. Two figures in exosuits emerged, one scanning, one armed. Liana raised both hands and stepped forward. Dr. Liana Voss, Medical Corps, attached to the 73rd Humanitarian Division. Signal code T9937, responding to battlefield sweep. I have a patient. The soldier raised a hand. Identify the life form. She hesitated, then said clearly, a Xir'khal survivor. The two froze. The soldier's hand moved instinctively toward his weapon. Liana stepped in front of them. Is injured, not aggressive. Is sapient, self-aware, and communicative. You fire on him, you violate the Sentient Preservation Charter. Is a war criminal, the scanner said. Is the last of his kind. Silence. Then a deep, unmistakable sound rumbled behind her. The soldier raised his weapon. But Liana didn't flinch. Vok had stepped from the cave. Towering, scarred, magnificent even in his brokenness. He stood tall, wings folded close, claws at rest, his head bowed ever so slightly, not in submission, but in acknowledgement. The soldiers took a step back. Lyanna stood her ground. "Look at him," she said. "He could have killed me a dozen times. He didn't. He let me help him. He trusted me. That has to mean something." The scanner looked uncertain. The soldier didn't lower his weapon. Vak's voice rolled out low and steady. "I surrender. No fight. No kill. Only breath." The scanner whispered, "It speaks." Lyanna turned. "Let him live. That's all I'm asking. Let him live." The next 2 hours were a blur of scans, formal reports, legal arguments. Vak was placed under stasis transport protocol, not in chains, but in quarantine, as required by regulation for unknown alien species. He accepted it, trusted her. As they prepared to board, Lyanna walked beside him. He lowered his head to her eye level. "You spoke for me," he said. "I'll keep speaking for you, even if they silence you." She smiled. "Then I'll speak louder." Vak gave a sound halfway between a growl and a breath. "You are not like others. You're not either." They looked at each other, two beings born from different stars, different wars. And yet, something had been built between them. Not peace, not yet, but possibility. Weeks later, in a glass-walled observation chamber aboard Sanctuary Station, Lyanna stood before a Federation tribunal. Behind her, in the reinforced recovery wing, Vak slept under soft lights, monitors tracking 3 hearts and 24 vital signs. She held up a datapad. "This," she said, "is everything we've forgotten, everything we destroyed, and everything we still have the chance to understand." The council remained silent. She continued, voice steady. "He's not a monster. He's not a myth. He's a person, and he let me save him. We owe him the same chance." A long pause. Then the lead arbiter spoke. "Dr. Voss, we will review your recommendation. Until then, he is your responsibility." Lyanna smiled. "Gladly." Months passed. Vak learned to walk again in gravity chambers. He spoke in full sentences. He shared his culture, his memories, his grief. The Federation recorded everything. Slowly, he became a figure not of fear, but of fascination. And through it all, Lyanna remained at his side. Doctor and patient, warrior and healer, dragon and human. On the anniversary of his rescue, they stood together on the station's outer ring, looking out at the stars. "You ever think you'd be here?" she asked. "No," he said, "but I am glad." She nudged him gently. "Told you. You weren't dying that day." He looked down at her. "Because of you." "No," she said, "because you chose to live." The stars stretched wide around them. No longer a battlefield. No longer a grave. Just sky, and the chance to fly again.